Dipti, welcome to Breakthrough Brands. How are you?
I'm good, Joe. Thanks for having me here today.
It is a wonderful honor to have you. I know that our time zones are far apart when it comes to time zones. It's late evening where you are, and sure, I've only just finished my breakfast. So, so it's great to have you on the show. And as I say, I speak to a lot of people, and I build a lot of connections up, and through LinkedIn. And we came across each other on LinkedIn, and I was looking at your profile, and I was intrigued. And the reason what caught me was, like you, we're both business coaches, we're consultants, we have a passion of helping people. But what stood out for me, you mentioned, people aren't appreciated or they're not recognized. They break through. They need to break through these barriers and challenges. And I'd like to ask you, what does that mean?
Thank you so much, Joe. This is such an interesting question, and thanks for the observation. I feel like when people are at work, most of my clients, when I was starting to work with them, they said they want to work on their business communication. It was putting forward what is their need and how to put it forward. But when I started working with them, it was more about they knew how to communicate, but they did not know how to take that first step to say, hey, I have the right for my voice to be heard. Because somehow down the line, they had these limiting beliefs that their voice doesn't matter. And they have been never given those leadership opportunities. That's why they have been hanging in there, waiting for the promotion. And the person who have the responsibility to give the promotion, they've been waiting for them to speak up. So it's a kind of place where you feel stuck, and I've been there. Like when I started my work, I was surrounded by these high profile seniors, and I was like the most youngest person in the room. And most of them were, I was working for the government in India for my first job. And most of them were like senior IS officers. So automatically the voice comes with, with their nature of work. So I've been trained to just listen up, do what needs to be done. And when I started my second job, it was with United Nations in Indonesia. It was just the contrast. You have people from all around the world, and you're expected to speak up a lot. So for me, it was like, wow, how do we speak up? And that's what I learned it eventually, and that's what I want everyone to know, that you have the power to put forward their voice, and that only comes when you let go of all the limiting beliefs which tells you that I don't have a value, I don't have anything interesting. And that also comes from somewhere down the line in the history of their timeline, because I also work on timeline therapy. When one of these part of they were born, and we kind of dissect it. When was it born? What made you believe that? Do you know it's not true? And then they eventually find out, oh no, it was not true. It just became my pattern. So that's basically the nugget.
It's interesting you say that. The shy people don't really get those promotions. People need, everyone has a voice and everybody needs to speak out, but they need to speak out with honest and to be trusting and, having that courage. Um, and you mentioned there those belief systems. I often say to people, your belief systems are not yours. Your thoughts, you do not own your thoughts because your beliefs and your thoughts have been given to you from everyone around you.
Beautiful.
And you have to not follow your thoughts. It's like the song Get Out of Your Head, but it's try and live your life by your feelings. So you mentioned there as well about timelines, which is quite interesting because most of our beliefs and the stuff that causes us to sabotage our lives is caused by beliefs that have happened and have sunk into our subconscious mind somewhere along that timeline. Am I correct in saying that? And how do you pry that open for people as well?
Absolutely. That's true because what you said is like let's it's a beautiful summary. Like you live by your thoughts. We think that we are who we are is our belief, but in reality it's we don't own it, right? So where are they coming from? And as we know, like when able to be use our prefrontal cortex in the brain much efficiently. Before that, our human mind is not that mature enough. So whatever is coming before to us when we are 1 year old, 5 year old, 8, 10, and so on, everything is taken right away as truth. And I feel like human mind doesn't have that maturity early on to understand if it is real or not. Whatever is given, they take it as it is. So when we are over 25, it's and we start feeling like I started feeling it's not me, I was living someone else's life. The intuition was really strong. Like I wanted to speak up, I wanted to be recognized, I wanted to be, stand out. And what is my value? I was not even able to understand what value am I giving? That clarity. So the timeline basically what it does is we when we kind of go in our subconscious mind and we let them fly over, it's a kind of small short meditation where they can go and pick up any time zone which is very distinct in their mind and body. And when during the discussion it comes out that I feel like I'm not a good speaker or my voice is not good. Let's take an example of one of my client. When she went back in her timeline, she did not even know that, but she was focusing when she was 4 year old. And the memory that came up, it was a group of us playing, and our grandfather, he called me and asked, can you sing a song for all of us? And I sang something. I was very happy that he picked on me and, I'm selected to sing. But once I finished that, he said it was not good enough. And that was a very strong belief. You could have done better. It was not good. So, and then she took that as a real belief that my voice is not good enough. So when it comes to now in real life, now she's 30, coming to making presentations, standing on the stage, uh, doing negotiations at work, the voice, which is very strong, you're not good enough. Your voice is not, you're not going to make it happen. It stands very strongly. So when we work on timeline, those things come up, which they are not aware. And she was like, I had no clue how this incident is related to my identity today. So we work on together again to rub it off and put up the right things, who she is, putting up all those achievements and everything.
Yeah, it's, you know, as you say that, I'm working on, uh, I'm dedicated to do a video blog every day. So, I'm focusing on doing these every day, even though I've been doing podcasts since 2016. I always found it difficult to actually just stand in front of a camera with no audience or no one and talk. So I've committed to do a video blog every day. Um, and there's obviously something in my background that was holding me back from doing that, even though I can speak on stage to thousands of people. So,
Yeah.
um, and I wrote out a list, and you know, it's about us all taking stock of where we are in the present moment. And I just had it here, and it's weird that I wrote this out beforehand, and we're having this conversation. As I say, there's always a divine reason why people speak at certain times in our lives. And I made a list, and I think it's great for people to do it. Is you know, what happens if I don't do something, or what happens if I do it, and the do's are all the positive things, and the don'ts are all the what ifs. And the what ifs is shame, guilt, the haters, the embarrassment, and these are all fictitious fictional, fictional, I can't say the word today, characters in my mind that aren't irrelevant.
Yeah.
So for that lady that had that belief system to say, I'm no good at singing, that was a fictional character in her mind that didn't serve her any purpose. By knowing these and you prying these out of people, do you help them to release that demon?
Oh, yeah. So first of all, a lot of people are not ready. They think that if they're working with a coach, I'm going to work on tonality, the technical part, the tonality, or how to pause, how to have variation, body language, and things like. Of course, that is there, but some people are not ready to go and work on subconscious reasoning. So when they're ready, it's great. Otherwise, for those who are not ready, we can't, like, I can't help them to take away the demons. But those who are ready and they believe and understand that I can make that connection. The idea is to really understand that that was something that was created when you were so little and it was not real. So, what I do with them is to really, it goes back to reparenting because it was a child who believed in something which was not true. And that child was looking forward for love and safety. What is appreciation? Two kind words, but on the top of that, that child was looking for to be loved, to feel safe. Like, that's the way someone would love me when they will say two kind words to me. And what is the outcome? Because she did not get that love, she feel like I'm not loved. So basically reparenting that child whenever in present moment when that child is triggered, really telling that you're loved, you're safe, and this is the value what you said, really looking in the forefront and seeing like not anything bad is going to happen. And then I'm going to give some value to these people. But in timeline therapy, we also kind of wipe away the demon. Like, can you see that? How strong do you feel that child is feeling that in emotion? And it's like, oh, it still pinches my heart. Then we go back again and we kind of redo the whole thinking and say the reasoning, tell the reasons why it happened, and you are not associated with what someone was feeling about it, really detaching that person from there. And then we ask, how does it feel? I said, not much. And eventually that person doesn't feel anything about it. So
Oh, yeah,
that's how we get
I
rid.
got some work where I would, when they went deep into my subconscious, I had a like a genie telling me on the side, you know, you're no good, you can't do that, and laughing and everything. And in the work that we done, I basically made them really, really small, and they were no longer here. I sent them so far back out of, so visualizing, send them so far back that they were so small and I couldn't hear them anymore. And so I know it's always there, but it's so far back it's irrelevant. It's like someone in London shouting at someone in New York. It's irrelevant. You can't hear them. And doing that exercise freed up a lot of the positivity that I needed to embrace to further my own career as well.
Mm. That's a great way of visualizing it and really, saying bye. And
Yeah,
from this size, you are really giving this kind of attention to that thought.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter anymore, right?
You mentioned as well that you help people with their goals.
Yes.
So if someone with their timeline, they have freed through all this information and they've had those moments of they're going, this is great, I feel great. How do you get them to then go cross that Rubicon, take that foot forward and pursue your goals and be the person that you want to be? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's a beautiful marriage of past and present and future. So timeline is all about past. There's also future timeline therapy, but I focus mostly on past. For future, it's a lot about visualization and a few NLP practices where which a lot of people are doing these days. And for me, it worked too for myself and my own journey. Really seeing myself, not waiting for things to happen and believing in my promotion or my own goals, but really seeing that and believing that it has happened, and then embodying that energy and all the work that it needs to be, to be done to get there. Otherwise, it feels too much work. I feel a lot of people say, okay, you expect me to be at that place, but you're giving me a lot of job to do. But then the talk is about, but do you want it or not? If you don't want it, if you're happy where you are, it's great. And if you're not, then you're moving on to, a next matrix. So you're moving on to further step in your journey. And that would mean it needs a new you, a new mindset, new set of things. And really visualizing that and making them see them doing that helps them to understand, okay, it's possible. And I can see myself. That energy itself helps them to, be excited. And otherwise, it looks too much work and they don't have bandwidth considering how personal life is, professional life is, then it becomes too tight for them. So visualization is the key
Yeah,
for most.
it's interesting that you say that. It's because it's a daily job. You know, I think some people believe that they go through with coaching and mentoring and figuring out how they can be successful, and they think they suddenly, you do something and free that timeline and go, I'm brilliant, I'm great. But there's always it's a daily job. Like what I find, I have the thoughts in my head, and I have to pull those thoughts from my head into my heart. So I
Mm.
pull the thoughts down here. So it's no longer a thought, it's a feeling. But what I get at is that I have to remember to do that, because
Wow.
if I don't, it's a thought. And thoughts, in a way, don't serve us as well as they should.
Yeah.
So I think and visualization as well. Um, I know a lot of people will be listening to this and they'll go, visualization, I've got it with a sheet of paper and I wrote out what I want and it never materializes. Is there a technique, or what makes the difference between someone who writes out their visualization for the future and achieves it, and someone that writes it out and don't achieve it?
Wow. That's an interesting question. I feel like visualization, you should understand when you are visualizing, what is the way you feel it in your body. That would mean it's working for you. And I would say there are different ways. Everyone is different. Everyone receives energy differently. So I'll give you my example. When I visualize, I get goosebumps, like
Hmm.
something that I really want, and I see it happening, and uh, I see myself growing in my work and the things which I've been pushing away, specifically for me also networking was a big thing, but now with a lot of visualization, I stay there in the group of people. Before I would run, like finish half of the gathering, I'm like, rest, I'm done, I've shown my face, I'll just go back, I've done my attendance part. And I did not understand like how it is. It's not about showing face, it's about building that network, really interested in other people's story and building that trust, building a network through a trust. And when I started visualizing, the whole anxiety and the fear of being in that crowd started fading away. And I started enjoying those meetings. And I would look forward, when I go there, I look forward to who are the two, three people I really want to see and ask few things with them related to my business. And that way it also, made me a goal to achieve in those meetings. So I feel like whenever I visualize, I feel it. in the form of goosebumps, and could feel the gush of energy, that means it's working for me. But if for someone it's not giving them any results, that could mean this is not, maybe they are not visualizing the way they want to. Maybe the meditation style is different for them, or maybe it's not what they want. So it's the time then they have to stop and see, like, what is it in that I want for myself. Suppose if you're someone wants to start a new business, and the idea is I want to be business owner, but the clarity is not there. Like, which region, where do you find yourself, you know, 100% authentic you? Like in the beginning of our chat, you said you love nature, right? And so if someone is visualizing themselves and they don't have this clarity, if they're a city person or they are a nature person, if they keep seeing themselves in the city, they won't get back that reception. So really having that clarity, why I'm not able to do that. And that's what we discussed, and why things you are not able to visualize and find out, and then taking it forward from there. That gives us.
What what comes up is gratitude. And I know that, a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's gratitude," and have that gratitude. It took me a long time to actually appreciate gratitude or to
Mm,
have gratitude. I went through a time in my own life where I didn't know what gratitude was. Or maybe I was experiencing it, but I was thought it was something else.
mm,
So I think people need to sort of look at and kind of go, what is gratitude? And how do I know that I'm feeling it?
so when it comes to you about gratitude, how do you know that you know gratitude? What was
Now,
this?
it used to be in my head, but
Yeah.
now when I have it, it's unexplainable.
Mm. But do you feel the energy?
I feel it's an inner wisdom. So it's an inner wisdom. I go, yes, it feels right. It feels right. There's no tension in the body. It feels right. And it's like when I've done lots of interviews, I think over 300 over the years on consciousness. And I've realized what true consciousness is. It's unexplainable. You can't explain it. There's a
Mm,
feeling that you get when you are really aware,
right.
and it's that connected with divine spirit, and you can't explain it, and you don't need to explain it either.
Yeah. They will get it when they're there.
When they're there, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, on
Beautiful.
it.
So a lot of my work is also connected with consciousness, because I believe people are not able to express their voice because their vocal energy is stuck. And the reason their vocal energy is stuck is because their beliefs, of course, that's one thing, but they're not allowing that flow in their body, because those beliefs are feeding all those chakras, you know. So when they kind of work on their chakras and let the energy from to come, you know, and help everything to align and open up, then they feel like, why I was missing the energy because I was not aligned with who I am. Versus I have vocal energy. Everyone has vocal energy. I have my own unique vocal energy. Why I have been holding it behind? And I'm a lot of things comes from I am. Like, I am good enough. I am loved, and that itself is a big thing for them to, you know, start being vocal about themselves.
It's like the person who, they have a job interview or they have a promotion and they have to do something in work and they suddenly get a sore throat.
Yes.
And that the body going, oh, I'm protecting you and I don't
Yeah.
want you to do this, so I'm going to give you a sore throat.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of go, okay, why do I have that? What's my body telling me? And some people may go, maybe my body's telling me that I shouldn't go for it, or is it trying to? Is my subconscious mind from when I was a child telling me you're not going to get that, so I'm going to give you a sort of to make sure that you are right and I am right. Yeah.
Absolutely. I always tell my son, he's a teenager, and you know how teenagers are at this
No.
time.
Yes. Believe me. Yeah.
So I always tell him, when if you're in a tough situation, the simple trick is think opposite of your brain is telling you. So if your brain is telling you are in danger, if the situation is great, good. Of course, if you're not in water, fire, that's different. But in a simple situation where you feel like you know, you should be yourself, but you are not, that means your brain, whatever is processing, it's not real. Try to think opposite, like this is danger. Just say no, this is safe. What the worst can happen? And he was like, no, but brain is the most sharp organ in our body. It thinks wiser. I'm like, yeah, brain is kind of, it's most dumb organ. It's good to how to function your body, release this, release that. But when it comes to thoughts, feeling, actions, you are the, you are the master of it. You have
Yeah.
to
It's a
lead the way.
caveman when it comes to dealing
Yeah,
with. Yeah.
absolutely.
I used to talk about many years ago. You brought back the memory is about the 30-second rule.
Mm,
If so, you feel something, and if you don't act on it within 30 seconds, the mind kicks in and goes, don't do that. Don't be silly. That's not going to work. And it'll stop you from doing. So the 30-second rule is if you get it, do it. Because, the Neanderthal mind is going to kick in and go, no, you're going to be laughed at. That's stupid. And it'll hold you back. And that 130 seconds that your, you know, consciousness or that feeling is your gut feeling. I call it grace is giving you that element to do it. That could be that one thing that changes the whole path of your life for the better.
beautiful. Absolutely. And what you just said about being in your, in that light of consciousness versus subconsciousness, I feel a lot of people, as you said, like a lot of people don't know what it feels. I feel the feeling is life become effortless. You know, you are making right choices. You're almost always taking the side of intuition. The critical mind is so muted. That's a big sign that you don't care about any of those noises anymore. And that's what happens when I work with my client. I'm like, if we do a lot of visualization, and also I also work on hypnotherapy. Recently, I got certified and I've been actively using it. I love it. It's something that I've been waiting to do that. And it kind of goes so well with my work is we when I put all these things in them subconsciously, and they could feel that, that chatter came, but I could easily go and shelf it out what what we talked about during our session. So I was like, yes, that's the trick. Like how faster, the efficient you get in muting your critical mind, that makes you a better balanced, conscious
Yeah,
person.
it's interesting. We were talking about last night. I was with some colleagues at Toastmasters, and we were talking about um, hypnotherapy and um, going back into a different life. Um, and I was saying, oh, I had that. I had that done, that I got hypnotized. And in a previous life, I was a priest in Rome and I was speaking out against the Vatican because what they were doing, because they were no longer connecting with people, but they were actually just, and there was a, an element of what they were doing was wrong. And I always had a pain in my back here, and it was, and in the previous life, I was stabbed in the back and murdered, And the person that stabbed me in my back, that murdered me, was my brother in this
Mm,
life.
mm,
And I found that quite interesting that that was coming up on it. So I think as we go through life, it's a journey
mm,
and we're learning. And I think that more and more people, thank God, is becoming more aware or looking to be more aware. And one of the things that I fear is AI. Now, AI is going to be amazing. You know, we know that every company is going to have an AI agent like a website.
mm.
But AI is not, how do I explain this? And maybe you could help me on it.
Aware?
If we want to achieve our goals and we want to break through to have that better life,
Mm,
AI is not going to do that for you
yeah.
because it has to be done by feeling.
Yes.
And a lot of people are allowing AI to do work for them, which is taking away from their critical thinking and their
Mm,
creativity,
yeah.
and they're coming dependent on it. And as we go through life, more and more people are going to come depending on it, that it's actually going to be like their God.
Mm,
And it's going to then stop them from looking in for the answers because they're
yeah.
going to be looking out and asking AI for the answers. What's your thoughts
Absolutely.
on that?
Yeah, I feel like AI is good for those like people like us who know what it is like connecting with yourself, who knows what are the other ways to get information other than AIs. So I really feel like in school, how they are kind of not letting kids, I don't know how all schools are doing, but here the schools are like really careful that you're
Yeah,
doing your own
yeah.
work. So really giving that environment for kids to be able to connect themselves, to dig into their own awareness and understand what it is to take decisions for yourself. What is it? What is the feeling when you are, getting that strong sense from your intuition? And if they continue to do that, at least till they are 25, they are okay. I mean, then no one can stop it. It becomes like brushing your teeth, right? That you will always go inside. But if it takes over and schools takes them, as a way of learning, I feel like what you said is so true. People will not know how it is to.
Yeah, that's, it was said to me that AI will be as addictive as heroin for the mind.
Mm,
And people have to really sort of, I think if someone wants to do an AI course, it should be mandatory for them to do an awareness course first before they go and jump in, because if they don't, it's like the Black Mirror.
yeah,
It will absorb them and they'll come dependent on it.
yeah. And the thing is, people spend all their life to get awareness, right? Because awareness is not one state. There are so many levels to be guru in your awareness, right? When you go in deep. So of course, everything that is sold fast, which is instant, and AI is instant. You get answers, everything instant. So I wonder, like, what you suggested is so true. Like giving them, if you are aware, if you show us in few ways that you are in touch with your awareness, then this is for you. I think it's mostly like also like when internet came, when we all were in schools or colleges, I guess colleges, yes. And it was like everyone was saying, no, this is going to be bad for everyone because we will not be able to, we will not be textbook oriented and they will depend online for a lot of things. We will get rid of our values, which kind of, it's like how do you, what kind of environment you have. So if you're not getting, those kind of, if you don't have guardians, like if you're not protected enough, or if you give so much of like, okay, you decide everything kind of environment, then it's hard. Like, the kids will be like, if they're not, how they're submitting their homework, are they using all AI? So they will not be the way they could be without AI, I would say, because a lot of kid, when internet came in, they did everything, all their homeworks and stuff from
Not
internet.
even for kids. I think it's even for adults who are in the beginning of it now, who are using it that and are bypassing their awareness. You mentioned
Mm.
the age 25. Why
Mm.
particular that age?
That's the time when our brain is really developed 100%. Otherwise, the frontal cortex, which does all the planning for us, is not fully matured then. So as a result, we as humans, we are not emotionally matured. We could be doing everything like getting driving license and everything, but the emotional maturity only comes from when we are 25. So I yeah, some people could be, how they are, they're 10, but their brain is like they're 18 or 20.
Yeah, I
So
think I wasn't. It was in my 30s before I was matured. Yeah, so I get that.
but also depends. I feel like, what is emotional maturity? Like, do you need that kind of maturity when you're 26? What is the level of maturity are we talking, right? So I feel a lot is about how do you handle your emotions, how do you see yourself? Like, we started our talk about beliefs. How do you really pull it apart? Like, what is true and what is not true? That kind of judgment. Because I feel the age of teenagers till early 25, a lot of people live with these all clouds and wrong beliefs about themselves.
Yeah, like my 20s was looking back on it, 10 years, just when I look back in my mind, it's just like one big long party weekend. I can't, everything just blurs into one weekend in my mind, um, which is quite, it's, thinking back, and it was your 20s, I think, is one of the greatest parts of your life because you're experiencing an awful lot. Um, you are an adult, but you're losing that, you've cut the apron strings, you don't know what's ahead of you, and you're trying to find yourself and express yourself in your 20s as well. So I do understand that.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, when people work on their business or in workplaces, they're like, I am 29 and I need this promotion now. I'm like, you just took birth, you from 25 to 29, literally you're 4 year olds, So it's okay. Sometimes, like, people are high performers, but high achievers. So they are not very kind to themselves. So everything is about achievements, and then it kind of works badly on them. So really finding out, like, what it is, where it's coming from.
Yeah,
So
it's
so
I'll give
sometimes.
you I'll
Mhm.
give you a funny story.
Yeah,
I was 30
yeah,
and I felt I was a man now. I'd gone out of my 20s, the chest was up. I'm a man in my 30s, and my brother-in-law, um, so I'm in my mid 50s now. So in my 30s, I thought I was a man and old, mature. And my brother-in-law, Barry Duggleby, um, said to me, he says, "What age are you now?" I says, "I'm 30." And he looks at me and goes, "You're still a child. You have a
yeah,
long, long way to go." And I
yeah,
go, "I'm not a child." And now, looking back, I was a child at 30.
yes,
I was a child at 35. And
abs-
evolution is allowing us to live longer. Like there
mm,
was a time if you were 60 and you were sick, the hospital would put you in the dying ward. So they wouldn't
mm,
do anything because they knew you were going to die. You were old.
yeah,
And evolution is, people now are living into their 80s, their 90s, and soon into their hundreds.
yes,
So as evolution grows, you are a child even when you were in your 40s.
yeah,
Like when I turned 50, I went, oh my God, I've just
mm,
got through halfway through my life.
yeah.
And
It's
20
so
years of
young.
that, I was a child. Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking yesterday, Joe. I was like, okay, so where I'll be in next 10 years in terms of my business and work. And I started seeing great things. And I was like, where I'll be after that 10. I was like, look, I'm really young now. Like I have so much to do. Like otherwise people say, like I'm in my mid 40s and people say, oh, you're already 40 something, it's time to plan your retirement. I'm like, what are you talking
you
about? My
never
life just
retire.
began.
We never retired. People go, "Oh, you can." Says if you're in business, you live in a world of uncertainty,
Yeah.
and you never retire. You might want to retire or get out of it, but your mind has been developed to do things,
Yeah.
and it's. I think that's crucial for anyone that's self-employed or someone that is, in a job. It's never give up, never stop, never sit in that. People have this vision: you retire and you sit in the armchair and you die. You
No.
need to keep that mind working. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If someone, and this is for the audience, if someone feels that they need to break through that barrier and has a challenge and wants to set that goal for those 10 years and beyond, what tip or advice would you give them to start on that road?
Yeah. So the first advice would be to really find out what barriers are there because at times they don't have clarity of the barriers. Because people say we want to do, but we don't know what's stopping me. And it's the barriers. And really going through each barriers. We're talking about 10 year span, really seeing how are these barriers, like do they are they going to be there for the whole 10 years, or what they're imagining about their existence, or they might say no, it's just the beginning of 2 years, then I think we will be fine. So really seeing how intense these barriers are for them. So for some people say, no, I think for the whole life I won't be able to do the sales part, so because I'm not good at that, but I want to, because without that my business won't go away. So it's a really long-term barrier. So really understanding the intensity and then going back to telling them these are not realities. So what made them think about this challenge, when this challenge grew in their mind, what was the occasion, and really try to sit on that and put, it's like a puzzle, breaking that puzzle and finding out like, oh, it was nothing. Most of the time it's not asking for help because people feel like it will come eventually. But in business or in profession, it's all about, if you want to grow, you need to just ask other people how you did it, and they are the best advisors. So people are like, no, I just want to keep it by myself, and I will just learn and do it by knowing. So there's a big gap between doing and knowing. So those people have done it. So most of their barriers really go away when they meet those people, real life people who have done that. Then
Yeah,
the
it's
belief.
walk. Yeah, walk it. Yeah,
Right. The belief goes like, oh, if they can do it, they have similar challenges. Because a lot of the time the barriers are like, it's only me. Only it's my life it's like that. It's my past which is so bad, or I did not have enough resources. And when you talk out with these people, you might get to know that, oh, even their life was that, or even worse than theirs. So that really gives them a lot of momentum, and then working on anything else that's holding them back, removing that through the
brilliant.
limiting belief, removing cloud techniques and that therapies.
I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Values.
Mm.
We, over the years, I've had many conversations with a lot of people about values, and picking those values, pick those 7 values that are important to yourself. And,
Mm.
you know, I've learned that your values change as you pick up new ways in life to live. So your values that you might have had 5 years ago may be completely different to 10 years.
Absolutely.
because and you were allowed change your mind
Yeah,
and you're allowed contradict what you said 10 years ago because you've absorbed new knowledge and information as you get
right.
older. And someone can easily go, oh, my values are this, and they write the values down. Are they really their values? Or, like, how does someone really go deep to find what they truly value in life? And what are those values? How do people do that?
Yeah, because I feel it's something that which is not taught in the universities, right? You tend to behave the way crowds are behaving around, or what was the value system in the home. For example, in my case, my in my house, it was more about community. So be there for them. You come second, they come first. And if I don't do that, it was not appreciated because it's a family value that you have to be there for people. And I realized that it was taking away my confidence as I was growing up. Is I want to care for people, but I'm not second. Like I cannot be always a nice host, and I'm number two. So I realized when I got into this world, I understood it's number one is me, like filling your own cup, right? And I was in my family, I was told like you never drink from that cup, you first give it to others, and if something is left, you take it. So I realized that if I'm not doing that value, meeting that value, even in my husband's side of family, it's a lot about community and others. So I was not able to fit in, in all these social meets and there. So I started seeing myself as a black sheep, and then I realized that it's because I don't have that value. So I started hanging out with people who have similar values. For me, it's peace is my most important. Like I will not do anything which kind of let my peace go away. So peace, harmony, joy. I want to have joy in my life. I want fun in my life. So I started hanging out with people where I could see that we might have different values, but we still value peace. Or, for example, we might have similar hobbies because I feel like hobbies and values are very much related. Because if you go and because I'm into peace, I won't like shooting as my hobby because so I can't be in the shooter club, never, ever, or any movies. Like my husband and I, we cannot see. He loves movies with fighting and stuff. We are never together in those movies. So we have to really find out which movie we are going. So so the value systems changes. You have to know, like you will understand. First is you'll always feel like you're not part of that you're not part of that place. You will always feel like you're the black sheep. That means that value there is not. Second is to feel it. Like when I talk about my values, I feel it in my body. It makes me happy. That's the second way. And third is if you don't know, if it sometimes it will give you an overview. You will not be able to find that right word for it, but you will be in the zone. You will know that this matters for me. So, for example, if peace and love are so related, but if you choose love, that's okay because at the end it will give you peace. So, really going to work, like I cannot work in wars, I know, but because I'm a coach, I work for a lot of peace and harmony. And, those are my basic things. So, even your hobbies and your job, everything aligns from there and it keeps changing. I'm not sure what it is going to be in next 5 years, but I know I'm happy with those values now for now.
I wonder, do people have midlife crises
Mm.
because they are not aligned with their values?
Oh my God. I never thought about this. This is the thing that's coming out from this talk. This is beautiful. This is it. So midlife crisis is about mm, maybe that value is over and you don't know what's next,
Yeah,
right? Let me
a
think of that.
non-fulfillment and their values are changing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or they thought the values that they were living were the
Mm.
right ones, and they realized that they don't serve them anymore. Yeah,
I have another thought here. it could be why just midlife crisis, any life crisis, you know, when you're just graduated from college looking for work, if there's no work yet, or if you are in between the jobs, or any crisis where you're feeling lost, like you're not feeling yourself. I feel it's about really getting to know your value system, because value is your root. If they're shaken, you'll be floating, you'll be like nowhere. How about that?
When I had my midlife crisis at 30-ish, I would look at old people and go, oh my God, I'm going to end up like them. And I'd look
Mm.
at young people and go, oh my God, I used to be like them. And I was in this battle between I was once young and I'm going to be old. Now I was still young, but in my 30, I felt this was the line. And I think for me, just as we're talking this, I think it was a value shift. A value
Mm.
shift. I was coming out of one life that
Yeah,
I knew I had to let go, but
yeah.
didn't know what the next one was. And I think that midlife crisis is the confusion of the
Mm.
mind trying to protect you, but also trying to break free.
Yeah, absolutely. Because your mind is so familiar with the value
Mm,
system, right? So
yeah,
the unfamiliarity is like, oh, it's danger.
yeah.
Let's not go
And
there.
it's, I'm complacent or other parts, and it's different for different people. Tell me,
I
what did you
remember,
get wrong to get right?
what did I get wrong to get right? Can you explain it a little bit more?
Yes, certainly. So in life, we sometimes go on paths
Mm.
as a learning experience and
Mm.
something that we feel is wrong for us. And in
Mm.
the end, we get a lesson from it, and it ends up as moving on to a place where we're fulfilled. It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
right path.
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely my coaching career. Like, I was like, I never believed in my family. No one, everyone was on you know, checks and work, and they were professionals on jobs, and no one had business. So for me, I was like, when I started, I was like, this is not going to work because I can't, I don't know how business work. And when it was for myself, it was time to get coached to understand how does this whole thing work, and eventually getting to know that just like job, it's an everyday work. It's like really seeing what is your priority. Not everything is going to work just the way you want. You won't be getting same amount of money every month. This was the big one for me because I was expecting I'll be making same money every month, and then I'll have my cycles of up and down, like, oh, what happened this month? Oh, great, when can I make same money like last month? And also, because initially I did not know how it works, there was no work life balance. Really finding out that balance later when I started understanding it's working. And to know that any business takes a lot of time, 5 years, 10 years maybe, to
Even
see
longer
what's
for some, you know.
right.
Yeah.
So my belief in the beginning that this won't work for me, that change. And I will tell you, it's not about the money. It's about when you might resonate with that, when you start hearing from people like how important it was for them to have that session, how it changed their life, how it changed their family with this new mindset, and the new version of themselves. That is so fulfilling. That makes me keep going. And nothing like I haven't got this feeling anywhere. Of course, my kids are like that, like their love and everything is very fulfilling. But when I see these transitions in the life of my
Yeah,
clients,
it's I've learned in business, if you help other people what you've walked through to achieve where you are, and
yeah,
that's what we do in life. We in business, we've had something, we've walked a path and we've got it, and all you're doing is showing other people the shortcut to do it. Because as we get older, we pick up knowledge and experience and wisdom, and we're then transferring that to other people to help them along that path. And that's in business and life as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. And before it used to happen in our living room, we'll have my father's friends coming in and they'll give us all these advices. But now I don't feel that happening much. But this is more serious, I would say.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's it. True. Dipti, if someone wants to pick up your book, I know you're an author, or wants to check out more information or go to your website, or where can one locate yourself if people want to, or even listen to your own podcast? Where can people go to?
So my book is on Amazon, so I can actually put a link later, and if you can share with them. It's called Transforming Your Life, and it talks about how I transformed my own life with all these limiting beliefs I had and how I changed my identity. So basically, my identity was basically a value set of someone else versus my own values. So it's in a nutshell, it's about that. And my podcast, I have a section on Spotify. So maybe I'll share with you that link later, Joe. And if you could give access to that when you're writing about our talk today, and they can definitely have a peek there.
And your website?
Oh, yes, my website is my name, www.deeptitiwari.com. You can see my name on this chat. I guess you know where the name
Yeah,
comes in.
we'll have a link. It'll be in the link in the bio as well. So they and
Awesome.
look, as I say, everybody, they can find you on LinkedIn as well if they want to connect with you on LinkedIn.
I feel a lot of people are connecting me on LinkedIn and less from website. So maybe I have to make my website better.
I think I think people are just using it in a different way. I always say a website is just like a trunk, a
Yeah,
suitcase where you store everything. Um, it's a library.
that,
That's where it is. Yeah.
that's a good one. Yeah, I'll keep
Thank you
that
for
in.
coming on the show today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joe. I totally love this conversation. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And that's it, folks. If you want to connect with great, people, listen to other podcasts, listen to interviews like this, you'll find it at Breakthrough Brands. And we're on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, right across the whole genre of podcast hosting platforms. Until next week, have a great week. Look after yourself, be safe, and close that deal. Take care.